Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
So this week I'm in Philly, traveling for business, and this week is, from my perspective, is all about perspectives. Many have heard my drashes before, know that I've got a really fascination and very interested in the Midrash, and to get certain aspects of Balaam and the story, we have to go. Well, there's a lot of stuff in the Midrash. The Midrashim that's discussed in the Besorah and in the Tanakh and in different parts of the Torah, it's kind of one or two dimensional in the picture that we get, and there's inferences to a story that's missing, and our sages seem to pick this up in the story of Balaam. Now, I got to preface this with saying that Balaam is a euphemism in a lot of places in the Talmud for Yeshua, and I don't think it's necessarily Yeshua as the actual historical person, but the person that he became, as in the figurehead of Christianity. During the time of the Talmud, or what became when the Talmud was being put together, and talking about the later versions of the Talmud, and was being disseminated. Christianity was in power, and they were killing Jews in mass, right? So, but what became of the religion of Christianity was kind of the face of Balaam. And so, what do we know about this Balaam character? According to different midrashim, he was a practicer of witchcraft, and some say that he was actually the one who gave the edict to destroy the babies in Egypt. He was one of the three great counselors for Pharaoh, and when Egypt was destroyed, he was like, okay, well, okay, I know who the true God of the universe is. In all mythologies, Egypt, Norse, Greek, Roman, they have something above. In different religions, they call it the one who sits in shadows, the one above all, the All Father. They have different names, okay? And so there's this idea that there is a creator, a start, right? And so Balaam was he gave over his main religious aspect to the God of Israel, which he basically said was the great creator, and so he became a de facto believer, or at least it became one of his gods. He became his chief god. And so we see this when he goes to give sacrifices. He puts a number, to get this time of result, you need 7 altars, and you need he had a kind of if you do this, you get this result, and so we see this in aspects of religion, where if I do X, Y, Z, then God will do X, Y, Z for me, So we need to be careful that we're not in the line of Balaam. What's interesting is the choice that Balaam did. Hashem was Balaam still carried a huge amount of respect throughout the ancient world. They knew exactly who to go through. There's some indications that he's either a wayward convert, or he is a descendant of Abraham, because Balak says, who you curse will be cursed, and who you will bless be blessed, right? So either he has attributed the blessing of Abraham, or it's actually part of who he is. Either way, the things that he says, part of his prophecies, were true. So the reason why I mentioned the Midrash is, I would adjure you to find that application of the Torah that excites you, that kind of brings back memories as a child. Yeshua was very emphatic in that we should be like a child when we study the Torah, and we should apply that to our faith. So, there's people out there. Some people study the temple, and they're all about the temple, and that's what they go for. That's their the cat's meow, as per se. Find whatever you have that excites you, and study that, because there's a reason why Hashem gave you that. Anyways, I digress. So this character Balaam, he had in his idea that, okay, well, he was told by Hashem, don't go, right? And he's like, well, hold on a second. Have you noticed all the gold and jewels that these people have? And he's like, well, there was this formula, right? So he comes like, well, maybe next time he'll let me go. So next time, Hashem, Yeshua kind of points to this. He said, the reason why you don't have is you don't ask enough, right? So he was badgering Hashem, can I go? Can I go? Can I go? Can I go? Like a little child, can I go? Can I go? Can I go on the trip? Please, please, please. And Hashem finally relented. But we see later on in the Torah, I don't know if you all catched it, but he realizes that the choice for him to go led to his death. Right? We see later on in the Torah that because of his actions, later on, that was not discussed in the Torah, but in the oral Torah discusses that he actually was like, look, you're not getting it. You actually have to get the children of Israel to do an offense against their God. We have to go into different, it's good to go into different applications of oral Torah, because this story in itself is an oral telling that Hashem either told Moshe and summarized the story of Balaam, because Moshe's not there. Moshe's not living in this area. He's not up on the mountain. He's in the camp, right? So this whole story of Balaam and Balak and the talking donkey, that's another indication that this man Balaam was in witchcraft, because he didn't think for a second. He didn't question that his donkey was talking. It was like a normal thing for him. You would think if you saw a talking donkey that you'd be like, oh my goodness, this is earth shattering, but he just has a conversation with the donkey and goes about his business. So it seems to be either that was a common occurrence or a common story at that time, because he didn't seem to be shaken by it. He just, oh, okay, well, the reason why I did this is because X, Y, Z, and they have a conversation, a man and a donkey. So when we get the story of Balaam, right, Balak says, okay, well, you don't have the right perspective. So curse them from this mountain. And we get the Hashem appears to Balaam in a dream after Balaam applies a certain tradition, and this many altars, and he says, not only are you not going to curse them, you're going to bless them. So Balaam says, what are you doing? I told you to curse them, not to bless them. So he's like, well, maybe the problem is you need to go to a different mountain, to a different God. And so he goes to the different perspective, right? And he, every perspective he took him 3 times, and every single time Hashem blessed the children of Israel. So we have that perspective. We have the perspective of Balak, who's like, these people are going to destroy us. These people are just, they're too numerous. They're powerful. They have a God who split the sea. And we have Balaam, who's like, okay, I know I shouldn't be doing this. But the 3rd time, Balaam realizes, okay, I've really messed up now. I'm going to be with my people. In other words, he's like, okay, I'm going to die. What I've done has caused my death. That's the last prophecy he gives. He basically says, Balak says, okay, I want you to go home. And he says, okay, I'm going to be gathered to my people. It's a euphemism that he's going to die, right? So Balaam realizes his fate. Apparently he didn't do teshuvah, because later on in the Torah we realize that he receives his fate along with the wicked wicked people. But then we have the perspective of the children of Israel, right? The children of Israel, they have no idea, us, we have no idea that Hashem is protecting us. There's this evil king up on the mountain watching over us, getting witches and warlocks to curse us, and we're just sitting there complaining, and we're sitting there talking to Hashem about, oh, you're moldy bread. I don't care about your bread. While Hashem is telling people up on the mountain, don't say anything about my people. The people are without reproach. They're holy. They're great. They're awesome. While we're in his face telling him, oh, it shows us the relationship Hashem has with us, like a child. Children don't realize what parents give them until they become parents of their own. We don't realize how our wonderful parents have done for us, but they didn't realize we didn't realize that the nations around us were totally in fear of us. They were totally in fear of our God, and we were sniveling and complaining, and Hashem had just redeemed us after about 26,000, I think it was, have been redeemed under the plague of the snakes. Right after that, he saved us, and he's telling the people who wanted to destroy us, after Hashem himself had said he wanted to destroy us, he's telling them, don't talk about my kids. Don't you dare. You don't get the right to do that. That's what the Passover is about. The Passover is, look, as long as you're in the house, you're going to be protected. What happens in the house is between a family. That's why we don't get information. We don't get the TMZ version of what's going on in Abraham and Sarah's family, because it's none of our business. It's none of our business, right? And that's one thing we have to understand in Judaism is what happens in the camp is between us and Hashem. And Hashem says, Hashem finally took it. Now get this, okay? We had listened to the advice of Balak. Balaam is fine on the mountain. He's fine on the mountain. He's cursing us. He's going about his business. Hashem says, I'm not going to listen to you. But when Balaam comes into the camp and goes into the ear of the people and said, look at those women over there. They're nice. They got all this weird. Now, the religion of Baal Peor is so disgusting. I don't want to discuss it here. You can go research it. It is the most disgusting stuff in the world. And the fact that almost every single one of the prohibitions that caused death, it was part of their religion. Just horrible abominations that changed some of our religious practices of things that we can't do. And it was so brazen that they took a high priest. People don't realize what's being said here. When the high priestess came and grabbed a man of Israel, a high-ranking official, and they went into the Mishkan. They went into they went into our holy place to defecate and to do their wicked acts in the Mishkan. And what did we do? Our leader, our great leader Moshe, Hasbe Shalom, cries, and he's calling out to God. There's a time to cry and there's a time to act. And the great Zadok Phineas was like, there's no action. There's only one result for this. And he drove the priestess and the man of Israel. He destroyed them, and Hashem blessed him for that. When we have, so there's different perspectives. There's a perspective. What do we do? This is so invert. Well, the only action was to do action. And sometimes our actions are immediate and require a bold action, like Phineas. I'm not saying we should go around stabbing people with spears. I don't know where you get a spear anyway, but I'm just saying. But there's a time to stand up and say, no, this is the line. There's a time to say, oh man, that's messed up. But there's a time to take a stand, and I think sometimes we have to take a stand. But we have to address the Balaam in our midst. We have to we have to say that yes, Christianity and the ideas coming from it are good in some ways, but we have to also say that we have to toe the line of saying that there's a point where we can't allow the two things to mix, right? I think that's the dichotomy we have of where to draw the line and where to be peaceable. And that's, I think, what the sages were saying with making a Christianity and Balaam. But also, we have is as a people, what we've learned through the stories of going through, almost going into land, is that Hashem always gives us a opportunity to be forgiven. Today I came up with an analogy. I was telling my wife, I was discussing, and I posted it because I didn't want to go away. It was basically like Hashem gives us all a shovel to do tikkun. He calls us to repair. See, there's a bunch of holes that we made in our lives, or through our family, or previous situations, and He gave us a way to correct it, right? Patch the holes. He doesn't expect us to make more holes or to dig a bigger hole so we bury ourselves, right? He wants us to correct. Rabbi Nachman said, if you broke it, you can fix it. So there's always an out, so Baruch Hashem, don't listen to Balaam. Listen to the Torah. Listen to good things that are going on. Find good commentaries. Like Reuben said, find good things to edify you. And maybe what I found is children's things. And sometimes you need the nuggets of truth, and those things are so powerful. But find good stuff, and Baruch Hashem. Shabbat Shalom.